What's up, guys? I hope you're doing well. Let's get into the workout that we're going to describe today. You'll notice in the programming I have suggested movements to do for the warm-up. Just make sure you get yourself warmed up, prime your central nervous system, get some good blood flowing, heat up your body temperature, just like we talked about in the past. Movement number one in the giant set that you're going to do, I have my band. This is going to be a banded X walk. So with that, I have my band. I'm going to step on it. So it's at about my midfoot on my shoe. And then from here, I'm just going to twist it. So now it literally makes an X. I want to pull it into my pockets and I want to pull it tight. So I can make this a little bit tighter if I wanted to by pulling a little up and kind of moving my hands down on this. But I'm pulling it out, creating the tension, and I'm just taking this step side to side. Now notice my feet stay about shoulder width apart. I'm stepping out, I'm coming back to shoulder width apart. So we have a minute on the clock, and we're going to be doing these banded X walks. Notice if you see me coming towards you, this is athletic posture. So I'm not standing up tall, I'm in this athletic position. And I'm taking these side steps. And where I want you to feel this is, I want you to feel it right here, maybe on the side of your butt, around your pocket area, or glute max. So this is designed to get your glute muscles ready to go. All right, so create that X. Make sure that we're not bringing our feet back in close because we're going to lose the tension in this band. I want my feet to be at least shoulder width apart. I'm stepping wider, coming back to shoulder width. Keep the tension on the band. We immediately go into a banded squat to overhead press. Once again, I'm going to step on my band right about mid-shoe, mid-foot. I'm going to be out with my typical squat stance, which is going to be about shoulder width apart. I'm going to pull my band up, and I'm just going to have it ready for the press. But I'm going to practice a good squat, thighs parallel to the ground. As I come up, I'm going to press this overhead. Right back down, pause, right back overhead. So it's not fast coming down in my squat. I'm very deliberate with each rep. So I'm even going to count coming down. 1, 2, pause, back up quickly. I press that overhead. And you can see from this side profile view, I come down, thighs parallel to the ground. Notice that biceps are in the ears, my chin is neutral, and I'm pressing straight up with my elbows locked out. So that's what we want every repetition. I really want everything stacked on top with wrist, elbow, down through my shoulder, no hyperextension through my lower back, everything stacked. Butt's tight. That's going to put the pelvis in a nice neutral position. All right, so we're going to do 15 of those. All right, so banded X walk. Then immediately into squat to overhead banded press. Right after that, we immediately go into this unilateral loaded split squat. So I'm going to show you or remind you how we get into a good split squat position. I'm just going to start from this half kneeling position. And I want to see hip, and then I want my knee just right underneath that hip. You can see I'm through the toes of this back foot, and then I'm about 90 degrees here on the front. I just want to come up from this position. So this is going to be a pretty good spot for me to start as far as width goes in between front leg, back leg. We can check it again and just make sure I'm good to go right there. So we call this unilateral, because I'm just going to load up on one side, and it's going to be the side with the back leg. So in this case, it might look a little different to you on the video, but this is actually my left leg that's behind me here. So what I want to do here is I want to slowly maybe just tap that kneecap right back up. So there's going to be a little balancing act here. Down, fire back up. Under control. I'm trying to maintain this front foot, that big toe, in contact with the ground at all time. I'm going to let that big toe drive me back up into this position, and I'm trying to straighten out both hip flexors and stand tall. So down, pop it up. We're gonna do that on each side. So we got 10 reps on each side. Think about controlling your balance, and firing back up. Front foot, I want you to really drive that big toe down into the ground. Entire foot needs to be in contact with the ground, but I want to make sure that I'm really driving down with that big toe. But that doesn't mean my heel's coming up. Remember, entire foot in contact with the ground, getting that ground force. All right, so next up we have dumbbell pullovers for this next giant set. And you just finished the first giant set where you went through that 3 times, a minute rest, and right back into it for a total of 3 times. We're going to jump into the next giant set. It's going to kick off with dumbbell pullovers. So we're going to work some of the muscles on the front side of the shoulder blade. This is going to work our lats and some other big muscles in our back. Plus it's a good stretch for our lats as well. Might feel it in your triceps too. I have a bench, so hopefully you guys have something like a bench that you can get on and lay on. Make sure your head and neck are supported. You're just gonna hold this with long arms right over your chest. My arms stay long, elbows straight or extended right here. I come right back up. So I was just getting a little stretch there for a second, but here and right back up. So as long as this is pretty much right behind my head, keeping that nice long arm, pause, right back up. So we're looking for 20 of those. If you don't have a bench, then you might have to get yourself, kind of like we did with the rug before, build you a little platform to where you can create some space in between your back, just to get a little height so that when you are laying back, that dumbbell's just not going to clang into the ground. All right, so we're going to get into our lats again. We're going to do some unilateral work, which just means one side. So I have my band attached to a high point, so find something. If you don't have something like this squat rig with a pull-up bar on it, then get creative. Figure out a way that you can do it. So I have my band up here. I'm going to get into a half kneeling position. So this arm, which happens to be my right arm, is going to be my working arm. So right knee is going to be down. I'm in this half kneeling posture. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this opposite hand on my rib cage just to make sure that my ribs aren't flaring out and I'm moving through my spine. I'm going to pull down, pause, right back up. All my knuckles are facing the ceiling. When I pull this in to this opposite side rib, my thumb is pointing up towards the sky. So what that's doing, and we'll switch it up for this side now. So let's say I'm moving on to this side, I'm going to get 12. So now this is left arm, left knee down. Knuckles are up to the ceiling. I'm going to get this hand on my ribs just to monitor where my spine is. So now this thumb, if you can see it, is pointing up. This is externally rotating my shoulder, which is a good position to pull. So I pause. Just make sure that we're slow and controlled here, because remember, I don't just want that to fly back. I want to be in charge of the tension that's in this band. Pause, right back. Pause, right back. So you're going to feel that right back in that big lat muscle. That is our single arm half kneeling lat pull down. All right, so we have a good core exercise here with this plate shuffle. You can see I have just this array of different weighted plates. Once again, you might have to get creative. You can use some light dumbbells, something that has some weight on it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into this good plank position, okay? And then from here, what I want to do is I want to, without shifting and coming up into this position, I want to try to maintain this imaginary belt buckle squared up to the ground at all times, and I'm just going to transfer everything from this side in a controlled manner over here. I reset, and now it needs to come over here. So I'm going to figure out where my feet need to be. So my feet are about shoulder width apart, and that's going to help me with some stabilization so that I'm not moving all through my belt line. So we have a minute on the clock, and you can see I just broke while I'm explaining this to you, but I would want to be able to have a minute on the clock, and then I'm going to maintain this position as I move my plates over to this side. I'll reset, and I'll just do it again from this position. So the entire time that you're doing this, you have a minute that's ticking down, and you're not worried about that because you're just smoothly transitioning whatever your weighted objects are from one side to the other, keeping your core engaged, making sure that this is not happening. We don't want our butt rising because I want to squeeze my butt and maintain tension as we're shifting. The more narrow my feet, the more I'm probably going to have a tendency to shift. So like I said, bring those feet out maybe about shoulder width apart so that you can keep that belt buckle squared up to the ground. All right, so we made it through the second giant set where you went through those 3 exercises. One time through, rest a minute, then you went through it 2 more times doing the same thing. For a total of 3 times through the giant set. You're gonna rest for a little bit, then you're gonna get ready for the stamina portion of this programmed workout, which is gonna kick off with a set of banded push-ups. And you're gonna accumulate 100 of these push-ups before you move on to the second exercise that's in the stamina portion, which is gonna be 100 sit-ups. So just like we do on PST, I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But what we'll do with this band is I'm just going to position this to where it's in my hands just like this, and it's just going to come around my back. And what this is going to do is this is going to provide a little bit more resistance that I have to push against at the top. So down, up, let me see if I can walk myself back. So here we are with our band. Clean that up a little bit. All right, so here we are. Down, pushing myself up through the ceiling and up. So I'm pushing against this band. Now, you guys might want to add another band if that's not enough. So I could actually add another band here and actually give myself 2 bands to push against. If you wanted to, you could grab, if you got like a different array of them, you can grab a more resistant one and do the same thing. This one's not bad, just doubling up. But make it appropriate for you, make it a challenge. We're gonna accumulate 100. However many in a row you wanna do to get to that, but like I said, you can't get to the sit-ups until you knock out the 100 banded push-ups. From there, I want you to try to do this under control as much as you can because you may not have the benefit of having somebody holding down your feet, but I'm coming here. I'm gonna come just like PST. These elbows are gonna come right in between my knees, maintaining contact with my fingers on my collarbones. And we're gonna go ahead and get 100 of those sit-ups. So if you need to find something to anchor on your feet to keep yourself stable, do it. If not, figure out a way to do it without that. All right, fellas, that's what you got. Enjoy, move well, move often. Have some gratitude for a little bit of pain.